We all like to go out to dinner for a nice glass of wine and a big juicy steak. But have you ever thought about cutting your own steaks and even possibly aging them? Well, today I'm going to show you how to cut your own filet mignon from one whole beef tenderloin. And on a separate video, I'll show you how to age them. I hope you give it a try. It's not too hard, and it's kind of impressive. Today I want to show you how to butcher and clean your own whole beef tenderloin. You see there's a lot of silver skin on the outside and some fat. We're going to take all of that off and cut it into steaks and maybe even some roast. I'll show you where the difference will come in. I've got a boning knife and a regular butcher knife. I just got tuned into this boning knife. I like it for something like this. It's really good for just getting slightly under the edge of this thin skin here. It's a nice thin flexible knife. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start showing you what to do. Don't be scared. Okay, and here we go. There's a little piece on the outside here. They call it the chain. You don't even really have to use your knife here. But you want to go ahead and start pulling that off. Chances are you can just get it off with your hands. If it starts getting a little funky, go ahead and get that boning knife. And look how sharp this is. It's just barely touching. You want to get up under here. This sinewy tissue, it's not really fat, so you don't want to save any of that. It's just going to be way too chewy. And when you get over here to this silver skin, this is the toughness, excuse me, that holds the skin to the meat. So it's really super tough. You don't want to try to eat that. You don't want to hold it on thinking that's flavor, because it is not flavor. It has nothing going for it whatsoever, and you will never be able to chew it. So, boom, off goes the chain, okay? It's off the chain. All right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start taking off this silver skin. If you can just get under the first little edge, and then basically pulling it upwards, you're just going to barely, again, touch your knife. And if you're pulling and cutting at the same time, look how nice and easy it comes off. Trying to leave as much of the good meat behind as you can, of course. All right, so I'm going to keep doing this. Again, I don't want any of this on my beef because I want my steaks to be beautiful. Pull and just touch. Pull and touch. Pull and touch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop here and go through the rest, getting off some of this fat as well. And then I'll show you how, you're going to get it to cut into steaks. Now this chain piece that I removed, yeah, it has a lot of fat. We're going to take it down and take this, this tough stuff off right here. And actually it leaves a pretty decent little meat here. Some restaurants will actually ground that into making ground beef for hamburger. What I do is I clean it up as much as possible, and then I take this meat here and I cut it into strips to make beef stir fry. So in the meantime, I'm going to just wiggle along and get a lot, as much of this fat as I can. It's not going to be a terrible thing to leave a little bit behind because, as you know, fat is flavor. And then you'll see how it tapers on one end, and it's a lot thicker on this end. After I get it cleaned up a little bit, we're going to reevaluate what we want to do here. This, it's just like that chain is almost ready to come off. So typically, I'll take it off. If it seems like it's attached kind of well, I might let that be, one nice tenderloin there. But typically, we'll take it off. I'll reevaluate it here. Take it off and turn it into little medallions. Some people save this whole thing and just make it like a beef roast. And roast it like it's a steak, but it'd be more in a roast form. And then you could slice it at the table, and you'll see the nice pink inside. So it is kind of nice to do it that way. So everything in this doesn't have to be a fillet. Particularly when you get down here at the bottom, or the end, the skinny end, you can do like little medallions. Or again, you could say, wow, I don't want my fillets to be that thin. Maybe start like right about here And then this can now be a little steak roast. And I've done that before, and I like it actually. I've almost got some of this silver skin off. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of continue going along. It's somewhat therapeutic sometimes. I've tried this with gloves, and unless you've got some good fitting gloves, it's easier to use your hands, and just understand you're gonna be washing your hands when you're done. But you can see it's starting to look prettier already. Again, I'm not gonna kill myself over these little pieces of fat because they actually go through the grain a little bit. But this up here, the silver skin, is the devil. It will do nothing but cause you to chew it. You see, I can't even like hardly stick my finger through it. So yeah, let's look at this little end down here. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna look at this little connective tissue here and see. I think that we're gonna want to remove this whole section. Yeah, it's not gonna do us much good right here. So let's go ahead and take this off now while you're here. Okay. So look at that. That's a nice piece of meat. I'll clean that up a little bit. Again, I can cut these down into, you know, medallions, but the way it's a nice flat piece, I think I'm going to save this for a roast. Sort of like a London broil. Put it in the oven. I might sear it first, but typically I put it in the oven, and then when it's ready, you can make nice slices that'll be nice and pink and red on the inside. So it makes for a great presentation rather than individual steaks. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'll be back. All right, starting to look good. I just want to get back up here and show you the silver skin again. Some of it you can just pull off, okay? But that's the sort of sinewy part. But as it gets into this really tough, and it's silver in color, it has a sheen to it. You just want to go ahead and get it gone. And you're starting to see how your meat's really starting to come together. Again, it doesn't have to be a deboning knife. Last time I did this with my butcher knife. But I ordered this because I guess I just wanted to try and see how much better it is. Not necessary, really. The main thing is right now is just that it's super sharp because it's brand new. But it's so light and it just moves with the fluidity in my hand. But look at this. We're starting to get some nice looking meat. Again, you can go crazy and really clean it, really get every little fat. Not important. Get every little bit of silver skin. Well, fat's okay. Again, look, you can just pull it sometimes, and it'll get from down into where the grain opens up a little bit. But looky here, we're starting to get something that looks a little bit like a whole, clean, beautiful tenderloin. There's going to be some fat running through this one a little bit. And I'm going to tell you something, I think that's pretty cool. All right, so there's a little vein here. I'm going to leave it. So here we go. Let's see what we want to do in the way of cutting this. Okay, here we've got that chain, and you see it's still got a lot of fat on it. I haven't really tried to start cleaning that yet, but give you an idea, you're going to get some nice meat out of it. And again, that's what I'm going to take and slice up for like fajitas or a stir fry. I still have that little piece that was kind of attached right here that I like to pull off and have a nice little roast. This is enough for 2 people easily. All right, and so here we go on the actual tenderloin now. Tapers pretty well here on one end and a little less on this end. We got a nice thickness to this. I have a little piece of paper where I've measured off 2 inches, and I'm going to try to cut them 2 inches thick. So just to give me an idea, I have this piece of paper. This might be backwards to you, unsure. But when I go this way, you can see, give you an idea, this is 2.5 or 3 inches thick, so that's pretty cool. So what I like to do is go and look at where the taper starts getting a little bit bigger. So right when it looks like it's going to start turning into the nicer, thicker part from here to here, I'm just going to go ahead and whack that off for now. In fact, I'm going to switch out to my butcher knife. I don't know why. So now look at that end. Can I see that? Yum steak. All right, And maybe I'm not even going to go down here yet. I'm going to start cutting and then I'll know what to do. So 2 inches roughly is here. You don't have to use this piece of paper. I just kind of wanted to show you. When you look at it like this, it just sort of looks like you've got some kind of weird like pork roast or something. But when you turn it over, there is your fillet. There is your fillet. It should be about an 8-ounce fillet. And tell me if that's not beautiful inside. Inside, hardly any fat, but just a little bit running through, a little bit on the outside. Here we go. I want one for Mike too, I suppose. All right, there we go. Now those, you're probably gonna get, this was a little bit smaller than the last 2 I've done. Oh, just beautiful. Okay, you should get about 3 or 4. I'm looking like I'm gonna get 3 perfect ones here. It just depends on the size. This whole thing was priced at $75 and it was on sale for $34. They do that at my store quite often. Look at those veinings. So I've got 3 now. Can you see that? How close together they look? I've got this little end piece that was the taper. We'll get back to that. And I've got the rest. Now, this is still a good size. I'm going to go for 4. So we'll have 2 meals. Or we can invite some friends over. But we'll have at least 2 meals. All right. Sometimes I put them on the grill. Sometimes I age them. And sometimes I do like a béarnaise sauce or a brown like wine sauce. I'm going to tell you they're just as good put in the freezer. In fact, I'm going to cook 2 of these, or I don't know, I'm going to cook some of them tomorrow. Okay, now I've got these ones that were the ends. One end and the other end, right? You can do the same thing. If you want to make these little pretty roasts and then cut them open, you'll have this beautiful inside. I've got this roast. I think that's good enough. I'm just going to keep that one. And I like to make the little tornadoes or medallions. And when I do something like this, again, I almost always do a sauce with these. Don't be putting this on the grill. This is going to be way cooked too fast. But you can sear them, put them in your oven. Sear them first, put them in the oven. And look how beautiful. So I would serve this probably as a 3 per serving. So isn't that beautiful? You can do like a steak Diane with mushrooms. This one came out a little small. You can throw that into your other stuff for stir fry, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it and put it in with these medallions. Now right here, and you have to guess. You have to make a decision. Do I want another really thick fillet that would be probably not as big around, you know? Because see, it's not the same. Or do I want the medallions? But since I have only 1 meal here, I'm going to go ahead and do the medallions. In fact, I'm going to cut from this end. Cut on up until you see that they're starting to be a decent size. And I'm going to do the medallions this way. There'll be 3 or 4 per person for just the 2 of us whenever we're ready. And no worries about putting this in the freezer. I think it does fantastic. No biggie at all. But like I said, eat one right away. You can also age them a little. That's going to be a different video, guys. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So look what we have here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a little itty bitty one. I'll probably package these all up for 1 meal. Beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Make sure this meat is super cold when you start. You know, it still feels real cold to me, in case you're a little bit slow at it. And then, this is going to be 1 meal. I'll cut it open. We'll have a pretty, pretty pink inside. This little end piece that didn't go for anything, I'll probably just throw it in with this that day, and, you know, it's not pretty for serving friends or anything. But for us, it won't matter. All right, I know this looks a little gray, but you're looking at all the fat here. So just a quickie. Look at what's going to happen though when I get out of that fat. There. I start getting meat. As soon as I get all this off, this is kind of a pain, but you don't want to waste that. Once I get this off, you can see it goes fast. Not, you know, not that big a deal. And then once I get that off, I'm going to go ahead and slice these into strips for tenderloin. This is some more of that chain. You can see how it's starting to clean up nicely. All right, guys, that's how you butcher your own beef tenderloin, and that's how you save a ton of money, and you have control. This is not that, I don't know the different grades. This isn't the highest grade, but I find it's like melt in your mouth tender. And again, there you have it. That is going to be a beautiful meal. And there's something rewarding about doing it yourself. I don't know. But again, I've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4 meals. And this one was not super, I'm just moving over here. This one was not super big. This one was 5.9 pounds. The last one I did was a little bit bigger. I ended up getting 6 of the biggest fillets. Try it. Don't be scared. Now, ain't that pretty?